I thought this story was fascinating. Looking at who in this country controls the wealth and why, the least among us continue to be squashed, pushed down with almost none of the wealth in this country. When you look at the latest data from the Federal Reserve, I was blown away by this latest numbers from the Federal Reserve. Now, I showed you yesterday on the show the differences in the top versus the bottom 50%. But I think what got lost in all of that is just how much wealth is being held by the top percentage, the top, 10, 15% of Americans. Almost all of the wealth in the United States is being held by the top. Look at this. 79% of all of the wealth in this country is controlled by the top 15%. Isn't that astounding? I mean, it's no surprise. It's no surprise at all. But when you break this down by demographic as well, the percentage of white-owned wealth at the top, look at that, 74%. Black, 70%. Latino, 69%. And then when you put them all together, look at this. And the way that experts are sort of weighing in on and saying, look, we need to make a change on this is that given the arrangement of wealth in society, this is no-brainer near-term solution to both class and racial inequality is to redistribute wealth from the top of society to the bottom half of society, which cuts down on both racial and class disparities simultaneously. So if we think about this, the mainstream media just wants to say that it's a race problem, that it's just about race. It's not, it's about class. When you have the top, when people who are millionaires and billionaires in this country control 79% of all household wealth, what's left for the rest of us? What's left for those who are not millionaires and billionaires? Very little. Very little. 21% of the wealth is then distributed among most Americans. And the 50%, below 50%, has nothing at all. Nothing. Almost nothing in equity to show for it. The top 20% of every racial group owns 85% of the group's wealth. And the bottom half owns less than 3%. Again, I'll say that again. The top 20% of every racial group in the United States owns 85% of the wealth, while the bottom half owns less than 3%. Does Congress care? No. Congress doesn't. And that's why I've been pulling my hair out, kicking and screaming, talking about passing another stimulus. Some sort of a universal basic income. These people also don't have health care. And anyone who's lost their job, a lot of those don't have health care. Where are they going to come up with the money when all of the wealth is held at the top? And they just kept getting richer. So, folks, I also want to paint a picture for you. These numbers right here, these numbers are from 2019. 2019. That means this does not take into account the pandemic. So let me just ask you in the chat right now, do you think, just let me know in the chat, how many of you think that under the pandemic, this has gotten better or worse? Just let me know. Just drop a comment. Do you think it's gotten better or worse? These were 2019 numbers. And I don't hear Joe Biden talking about it. I've heard Bernie Sanders talking about it. But, he voted for that CARES Act, by the way, which was a big boondoggle for big businesses. So Bernie Sanders his hands aren't totally clean. He tweeted this, though, yesterday when all these news came out from the Federal Reserve. He said, while millionaires and billionaires own 79% of all wealth in our country, the bottom half of Americans own just 1.5% of our nation's wealth. He said, Justice Brandeis was right. We can have democracy, or we may have wealth concentrated in the hands of a few. But we can't have both. 79% of all the wealth in our country, and the bottom half owns just 1.5% of our nation's wealth. Both parties aren't talking about it. Joe Biden wants to basically just tweak things a little bit, maybe raise the corporate tax rate just enough so that the left doesn't, that the left doesn't get terribly outraged and it just kind of peters out. We don't have much of a discussion about it. But folks, this is not sustainable. I'm reminded of, you ever see The Dark Knight Rises? I'm just reminded of Bane. I was born in the darkness. You merely adopted it. I'm just picturing Bane when he breaks Gotham open. And he's like, people, take back your city. Claim what is yours. And all these people rise up. And the wealthy, they get tossed out on their ear. Catwoman in the movie, she's like, how can, the day is coming, Bruce. The day is coming when the rest of us have so little and you have so much. That's where we're at. It's unsustainable. It's unsustainable that the top portion of this country can have that much wealth while the rest of the country has peanuts. The cost of rent keeps going up. The cost of housing keeps going up. And wages are flat. President Trump likes to talk about how wages went up. Yeah, they went up a tiny bit. They went up in areas of like the lowest income workers, who, by the way, have lost their jobs now. President Trump likes to talk about the economy being one of the best economies in U.S. history, which is not true. It's one of them. He said it's the best. It's not. For who? When he says that, what he's talking about is 2019. What he's saying is, this is the greatest economy we've had. Look at it. You should thank me as your president. These are numbers from 2019. 79% of the wealth is held by the top of the country. I don't buy it for a second. So this idea that this economy is so fantastic in 2019, we should go back to that. Yeah, we should go back to that, shouldn't we? We should go back to the same way it was in 2019, which is the highest class income gap, wealth gap in American history. We should go back to that? That's what you want to go back to? Why aren't more people talking about it? Why isn't Nancy Pelosi talking about it? Because it's all one big corporate party, and you know it. They got their big bailout. They got their big stimulus package pushed through for all of their donors, all of their corporate donors, all of these companies that ended up taking PPP money, by the way, took taxpayer bailout money, and they paid nothing in taxes on top of it. So Amazon, Whirlpool, Netflix paid nothing in taxes. In fact, some of them got a tax refund. They made billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. And they ended up getting hundreds of dollars in refunds from the federal government. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Netflix makes billions of dollars, and because of the write-offs and the structure of the tax code, they ended up getting a couple $100 refund from the federal government. How would you like that? How many of you paid taxes? I know, I sure as hell know I did. I had to do a tequila shot after the amount of money I paid in taxes. It's a shame more people aren't talking about that. Can we have a real moment now to talk about this incredible inequity in our system? It's not going to be talked about, because if Biden gets in, nothing's going to change. And if Trump stays in there, it's going to remain the same. That's why the founder of BET came out, Black Entertainment Television, and said, I'm just going to stick with Trump, I think, because the devil I know is better than the devil I don't know. He's calling them both devils. He understands. So he's saying, at least under Trump, I understand what kind of regulations I'm dealing with as a millionaire business owner of BET, Black Entertainment Television. He's saying he's thinking as a businessman, not as a black man. Because how can you sit back and after that debate the other night, after he basically tells a white supremacist group to stand by. Mitch McConnell came out for his part, said president needs to denounce white supremacy. Many of his Republican colleagues said, Mr. President, you better get out there and denounce white supremacy. But the founder of BET doesn't care, or maybe he cares, but he's thinking more with his wallet. And so he said, yeah, the devil I know, Trump, is better than the devil I don't, which is Biden. At least I understand the regulations. Spoken like a millionaire. He gets it. I'd love to see how much money he's donated to these campaigns. How much money he's donated to Biden, Clinton, Trump, Obama. They're all part of this one big party that keeps it like this. It got worse under Obama. So people want to say, let's go back to the Obama years. Okay, let's do it. Look. Again, I come back to the Clinton years. The Clinton years were like the best for this inequality. It dropped significantly during the Clinton years. We actually had a budget surplus. And look how it just climbed under Bush, climbed under Obama, climbs under Trump. At what point will it hit 100%? And how sustainable is this for most Americans to be able to, to live like this? It's not. It's not sustainable. Let me know your thoughts on this in the chat. Subscribe to the channel if you'd be so kind. All you need to do to subscribe is just click the little subscribe button, wherever that is. It's down here somewhere. There it is. Click that, and hit that little bell thingy too. So that way you're notified when we publish a new video. We're working on a lot of new things around here, trying to improve the show. YouTube rolled out their whole new interface. We've got new microphones. We've got new cameras. Trying to do what we can to bring you the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. And that's what you get for supporting independent journalism. So thank you so much for supporting the show and everything that we do here at Morning Invest. I really appreciate it. Do not forget, we have our daily newsletter. You can subscribe. It's totally free. Just go to morninginvest.com is how you do it. Sign up for free. We'll deliver the news first thing in the morning to your inbox. We had a couple of hundred new people sign up yesterday. So thank you. Welcome to all of our newbies who signed up and get the newsletter. And by the way, if you ever have a problem receiving your newsletter, occasionally some people said they didn't get it or something, just send an email to team@morninginvest.com. We have someone who watches that inbox if there's any kind of an issue, and she will take care of it for you. So just team@morninginvest.com. If you have an issue with your newsletter, like you're not receiving it or you signed up, but you're not seeing it, we'll go in and delete your account and add it in again and fix it for you, hopefully.